Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. My name is Caleb, and if you'd asked me a year ago what I feared most, I would have said losing my job or disappointing my parents. I never imagined the real answer would turn out to be something far quieter, far slower, watching the person you love become a stranger right in front of you. And I definitely never imagined the moment she walked into the emergency room would be the moment everything I thought I knew flipped on its head. My wife, Leora, always had this gentle presence about her. Even her name felt soft, like light through a window. We met when we were 24, got married 3 years later, and built what felt like a solid life. At least that's what I believed, right up until the night I found messages she never meant for me to see. It started with small changes. She became guarded with her phone, angling the screen away from me like she was shielding a secret. She worked late more often, and her smile shifted into something tight and rehearsed. I kept telling myself it was stress. Everyone goes through phases, but deep down, something in me was already bracing for impact. The truth didn't reveal itself in some dramatic burst. It fell quietly, like a stack of papers slipping off a desk. One evening, she left her phone charging on the kitchen counter while she showered. It lit up with a message preview I wasn't meant to see. Last night was perfect. Same time tomorrow. My heartbeat slowed. Too slow, like my body didn't know how to process betrayal. The name attached to it was Alden. Not a coworker I'd ever heard of. Not a friend she'd ever mentioned. Just a stranger who apparently knew parts of her I didn't anymore. I didn't yell. I didn't even confront her immediately. I just stood there, staring at the message as if the letters would rearrange themselves into something less devastating. When she walked into the kitchen, hair damp, wrapped in a towel, smiling like nothing was wrong, I felt something inside me detach. A quiet kind of heartbreak. The kind you don't scream about because screaming won't make the truth less true. "Everything okay?" she asked. I nodded because the alternative was collapsing. I waited 3 days before saying anything. Not because I wanted to forgive her, because I wanted to understand. When I finally asked, her reaction wasn't guilt. It wasn't fear. It was exhaustion. "Caleb, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen." Words crafted for damage control, not honesty. I moved into the guest room that night. We didn't talk much after that, just navigated the house like polite roommates. I thought the distance would give me space. Instead, it created a vacuum that sucked every answer farther away. 2 weeks later, at 2:14 a.m., she woke me up with a trembling voice. "Caleb, I need to go to the ER." She was pale, sweating, clutching her abdomen like something inside her was tearing. Despite everything, despite the betrayal, I grabbed my keys and helped her into the car. I didn't ask questions. Instinct kicked in. She was my wife and she was hurting. The drive felt surreal. The streetlights stretched across the windshield like long, thin scars. She kept whispering, I'm sorry," but I couldn't tell if she meant for the pain or for the cheating. At the hospital, nurses took her in immediately. I paced the lobby, hands shaking, mind spinning with every possibility. Appendicitis, food poisoning, something serious. I hated that despite everything, fear for her still overpowered anger. When the doctor finally came out, he scanned the room until his eyes landed on me. "Are you Caleb?" he asked. I nodded, bracing myself. "We've given her medication. She's stable now, but we need to talk privately." Those words hit harder than the cheating did. He led me to a small consultation room. Bright lights, cold walls, a table that felt too clean for the kind of news it was about to hold. "Your wife experienced a sudden and severe reaction," he said carefully. "One we don't normally see. Unless," he paused, choosing his words, "unless there's an external factor involved. And in this case, there was." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He exhaled slowly. "It appears she was exposed to something, but not accidentally." My stomach tightened. "What was it?" I asked. His answer froze me. "Something given to her intentionally, and not by us." And in that moment, The betrayal I thought I understood cracked open into something deeper, darker, and far more shocking than I ever imagined. I stared at the doctor, waiting for more, but he hesitated, as if weighing how much truth I was prepared to handle. My fingers curled slowly against the edge of the table. "Just tell me," I said, though my voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone braver. He finally continued, "Your wife was exposed to a substance commonly associated with fertility interference." I blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means someone gave her medication meant to manipulate her hormone levels. It's not illegal on its own, but taking it without medical supervision can cause severe internal reactions." Exactly what she experienced. I shook my head slowly. "But why would she take something like that? We haven't even been trying to." And that's when it hit me. Not like a punch. More like a door being quietly unlocked inside my mind, revealing a room I didn't know existed. She wasn't taking it for me. The realization settled into my chest with a heavy, echoing thud. "Is she okay?" I asked eventually. "She will be. She's resting. You can see her now." I followed him down the hall, each step somehow heavier than the last. When I entered her room, she turned her head away as if she couldn't bear to meet my eyes. Her hair was plastered to her forehead. Her breathing was shallow. For a moment, I saw the woman I married. Scared, hurting, small. "Caleb," she whispered. I waited. She swallowed hard. "I didn't want you to find out like this." It wasn't the apology I expected. It wasn't even an apology. It was a confession already shaped by regret, but not the kind that comes from guilt. More like the regret of getting caught in the wrong way. "What were you taking?" I asked. She closed her eyes, and 2 tears slid down her cheeks. "It's called clomiphene." I knew the name. My sister had taken it years ago when she and her husband were trying to get pregnant. "You're telling me," I said, voice cracking slightly, "that you were trying to get pregnant?" She nodded, barely visible. "But not with me," I finished, because the words had already formed inside me like a wound ripped open. Her shoulders shook. "I'm sorry." Her sorry didn't land. It floated somewhere above us, useless, weightless, late. "His name is Alden," she whispered, confirming what I already knew. "He said he didn't want kids, but I thought if I showed him I was serious about us, he'd change his mind." I stared at her for a long moment. Every memory suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else's life. "So you tried to get pregnant on purpose?" "With him," she said, barely audible. The room seemed to tilt, shifting beneath the weight of every truth she was laying down. Betrayal has layers. I'd seen the surface, but now I was staring into the deepest fault line. "Did he know?" I asked. She shook her head. "No. He doesn't want that kind of responsibility." Of course he didn't. Men who hide in shadows rarely want to raise anything that forces them into the light. "And the medication?" I asked. "He told me I was taking too long to make decisions. I wanted to prove I wasn't afraid to start a new life." I laughed. Not loudly, not bitterly. Just a hollow exhale of disbelief. "A new life," I repeated. "By destroying the one you already had." Her face crumpled. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back before her fingers touched me. That small movement hurt her more than anything I could have said. "Caleb, please," she begged. "I didn't want it to end like this." "It didn't end like this," I said quietly. "It ended the night you decided someone else deserved more of you than I did." She sobbed softly, but I felt nothing. Not anger, not grief, just a strange, icy clarity wrapping around me like armor. The doctor's words echoed. Not accidental. No, none of this was accidental. Every secret, every message, every lie. She had built a bridge toward a future without me, and she'd crossed it long before I realized I'd been left behind. "I'll take care of the discharge papers," I said calmly. "After that, you'll stay with your sister." She looked up, startled. "You don't want me to come home?" "That wasn't our home anymore," I replied. "You walked out of it long before tonight." Her tears fell harder, but I was already stepping toward the door. The air felt lighter the moment I touched the handle. as if the entire room had been holding its breath for too long. Before leaving, I said one last thing, just once, and without emotion. I hope you find the life you were willing to break ours for. Her answer was a whisper swallowed by the sound of hospital machines. I already lost it, but that wasn't my burden anymore. I walked out of the ER into the cool, early morning air, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel confused or hollow. I felt free.